At 99 years old, Walter Forsling represents one of the last living members of what has been called the greatest generation. The men and women who came of age during the Great Depression and then came home to build families, businesses, and communities across this country. Today, fewer than half of 1% of the more than 16 million Americans who served in World War II are still with us. Walter's journey began at 18 when he enlisted in the United States Navy, answering his country's call during the darkest days of the war. He'll share what it was like to be an 18-year-old serving far from home and then making that long, unforgettable trip back after the war ended. Walter also remembers a time many of us can scarcely imagine, growing up without electricity, when life moved at a slower pace and hard work was done by hand. Over his lifetime, he has witnessed astonishing technological change, from kerosene lamps and dirt roads to modern machinery, computers, and a connected world that would have been unimaginable in his youth. And yes, you can see him from time to time acknowledging posts on Facebook at 99. After returning home, Walter met his wife, Elizabeth Hinton. He will tell you that incredible story that includes checking out girls on a Florida beach from an airplane. They produced 2 children and built a life grounded in faith, perseverance, and community. He went on to farm in Reynolds, Georgia for 75 years, working the land and raising a family that became one of his greatest sources of pride. Today, his children and grandchildren stand as a living legacy of a well-lived life. So that you know, I called Mr. Walter and asked him if I could schedule a time to call him and record our conversation. His response? Well, Bruce, I can talk right now. So I hit the record button on my iPhone, skipped the recording equipment I usually use, and we just had a conversation. So sit back, listen closely, and join me as we honor a remarkable American, a sailor, a farmer, a husband, a father, a grandfather, and a witness to nearly a century of history. This is Bruce Goddard, and you're listening to the View from a Hearse podcast.
Viewing life from a hearse, it could be worse. Laugh, think, and cry with the country undertaker.
I know that you were born in 1926, right, Mr. Walter?
Correct.
You know, I look back, when you were born, Calvin Coolidge was president. I don't know if you ever thought about that. You probably have, knowing you. Babe Ruth was a superstar.
That's true.
Movies were silent.
Yeah.
Isn't that right?
That's
And
right.
there's a lot of changes that's gone on that you've seen in your life, and it's actually crazy. Let me just ask you this. Do you remember when you first got electricity in your home?
I sure do.
So tell me about that.
All right. We were living out on a grove down here in Vero Beach, Florida,
Yep.
and always went to high school without electricity. But we did have running water because we had a well at the house there to irrigate the grove.
Wow.
And so it was time growing up, all right. But still, really and truly, what happened was I was at the University of Florida, and during the war, and the Japanese had bombed Pearl Harbor,
Right.
on the 7th of December.
Right. Well, you were like 15 years old when that happened, right?
That's correct.
Wow.
And we were wondering where in the world Pearl Harbor was. We just out of high school there. Nobody knew exactly what Pearl Harbor was. Well, we soon found out about it. It was on Sunday. And so we proceeded on to finish high school. Went on to the University of Georgia, or Florida rather.
Right.
in Gainesville, and I had to do something about this. I wasn't going to be drafted because I heard so much about World War One. My father served in World War One,
Right.
and I heard all about the in the trenches of World War One. No, this. So a friend of mine, we went to West Palm Beach. We want to be a pilot in the Air Force. Well, got down there, and they said, "Oh, we're fooled today. We passed the exam, the physical and the mental exam, but they were fooled. We couldn't place it right now." Well, right now we had to do something. So Billy and I, a friend of mine, got on a train, went to Jacksonville to join the Navy. Well, we thought after you got sworn in, would come back home for a little while anyway, say goodbye.
Right.
No, man, you're in the Navy now.
Wow.
Goodbye. Put you on a train, went to Great Lakes, and up in Chicago.
How old were you then? 18,
18,
17?
18 years old, yeah.
18 years old, and you believe. Let me go back to the Pearl Harbor thing. Do you remember FDR's radio speech?
Sure do.
Time for all good men to come to the aid of their country. You remember where you were when you heard it?
I sure do. We were in high school. Yep,
So you were in school, and they played that for you there. Is that what you're saying?
they did.
Wow.
We heard all that. Yep.
So I want to talk about this war stuff. We're going to get into that, but going back to the radio, do you remember sitting around the house listening to the radio? In those days, there was no television, right? I mean, the radio was the main
Right.
source of communication, right?
That was the only source of my communication. You're right. Only source.
Yeah, it was radio.
Yeah, and the newspaper.
Right, right,
Miami Herald.
right. When you heard that speech, now's the time for all good men to come to the aid of your country. What were you thinking? What were your thoughts? I mean, you were too young at that point to go fight for your country. I bet you wanted to, though, right?
Well, we knew we had to do something about the country. We knew we were about to go to the military because the age we were. It's something that you remember the rest of your life.
Well, I'm sure. I'm
Oh,
sure.
when Franklin D. Roosevelt made that speech.
Wow.
It sure is. We got up to got up there in the Chicago area and Great Lakes. Went to that training.
Yeah. What
Uh,
kind of training was it? Tell me about what you did when you got there.
well, just military training. Learned how
Right.
to march, and all that kind of stuff. But I learned how to different people because here we were in the South, and come up there, and you have all kinds of people from the North, the Midwest,
Right.
far West, all around.
After you went through that initial training, where'd you go? Tell me what happened.
All right, they sent me to Wright Junior College in Chicago, and all by myself, and from the crowd.
Right.
And well, I guess I was just. They taught me radio and radar, and I didn't know what was going on. They don't tell you anything at all.
But they were teaching you radio and
Right.
radar.
Both of them, yes. And then after that training class, they put me on a train all by myself. Nobody on the class.
At 18 years old, still, right?
18 years old, yeah.
Okay.
And never been out of the state of Florida before, but. So anyway, got on that train and said going to San Francisco. Well, I knew what that was. We're going to get aboard ship,
It was a long way from Chicago, right?
all the way across the country. And got out there, and there was a man had a sign, Forsling, come here. So I went to him. He said, good. He told me what to do. He said, just follow me. So aboard ship we went. He introduced me to a captain of the ship. This was a ship, a cargo shop type ship. So he was a Swede from North Dakota. Old old salty individual when you call by Navy,
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure.
and so he walked me around the ship, introduced me to the different lieutenants, and said, "This is going to be your office right here, right by the captain." Here I am, 18 years old,
On a ship with your own office, right?
right on office, on radio.
Unbelievable.
Yep. And it wasn't then a few days here we were heading out toward the Pacific Ocean.
You remember what year this was? If you
Oh,
wait,
1944.
1944. Okay.
And heading to, didn't know where we were going, of course, you know how that was. Everything was secret. We're running across under the Golden Gate. I said, well, a bunch of us got hold of a baseball that we had aboard ship there and tried to hit the Golden Gate. That was impossible.
Yeah.
All of us had good arms then,
Yeah.
That didn't work. So then we kept on going to Hawaii.
All right.
Went by there and just took on at the place where they bombed us. Took all the ships or ship was sinking. Then we got on the ship again, headed headed out to where we were going. I don't know. We were just floating out in the ocean,
All right.
headed somewhere.
Unbelievable.
And then kept on going, and we got to Okinawa after a
Yeah.
lot of trips across different, like Guam, different islands, that they had invaded.
All right.
They were secured then, so we and th- and then we got aboard ship there with a bunch of soldiers. They loaded the ship up, and during while we were there, the Japs would always come over at night and bomb, and
Oh,
we always shoot them down, And then we headed back out. We didn't know where we were going in, of course. Had an idea, but didn't nothing concrete.
right.
So closer we got to Japan, I was on radio and got the word they had bombed Hiroshima.
Oh my goodness.
And you should hear I had all this how powerful that bomb was compared to what they dropped in Japan. I mean in Germany. And it had 0, 0, 0, 0, 0.
Right. How far were you
Oh,
from the Hiroshima bomb when it hit? How far were you?
we were approximately 100 miles.
Wow. Did you feel it? Could you see it, or you just know
No,
it happened?
no, no, we didn't. Just what happened on the radios. So
Right.
I had to inform the captain what was going on.
You're talking about Okinawa. My dad was. You probably know this from talking to him over the years. He was on a attack transport ship and was in Okinawa. Took
Yeah,
Yeah, he was out there probably about the same time you were. He was there when the war ended.
he was. Yeah, I saw his name on one of the papers there. Not the doc, I guess it was. Yeah, it was Doc.
How about that? When you heard that, I mean, when y'all knew the bomb had hit, how long after that did they turn you around and say it's over, folks? So tell me
No,
what happened after that.
we slowed down and then dropped the second bomb on Nagasaki, and then we speeded up. We were going heading in to Japan. I was over on the China Sea side, close to China. And then we went on into there, and I asked the captain. I said, "Captain, can you trust the Japanese men coming out here to guide us in?" He said, "Well, we're gonna have to." So, and we went on in, unloaded all the personnel, the military personnel, and then we got the orders after that back out, go to the Philippines, go to Manila. So that was the beginning of the trip. I had 100,000 miles of sea duty.
100,000 miles.
Yeah,
Wow.
across that Pacific Ocean 6 times,
Wow.
back and forth, 6 times. transport troops back and forth, bringing back troops from over in those islands,
Right.
and that
Well,
was it.
you were running the radar as well as the radio. Is that what you
Yeah,
said?
yeah. The Japanese had mines in all these places that they had secured, like Guam had mines, and the mines would break loose and be floating around in the ocean out there, and you had to watch for that. And I was trained how to watch for that. See,
All right. Unbelievable. Yeah.
so if you hit one, you blow the front of the ship up.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure. I'm sure. What was
And
the
it,
name of the ship? You remember the name of the ship you were on?
yes, sir. USS Storm King.
Storm King.
That was it.
How
APA 171.
how about that? You'll never forget it, will you?
Not hardly.
How was the trip back when the war was over? That had to be a different attitude. As an 18, 19-year-old kid, you had to
Right.
be scared out of your wits with what you experienced, and you didn't know whether you were going to come back or not, obviously. And then
That,
when it was over and you started coming back, was it a party coming back? Tell me what was going on the ship when you
all
started to
right.
head back to California.
Okay. Of course, we left Hawaii. We're heading back to San Francisco. We all were excited because we had a bunch of troops aboard ship. And when I say troops, they were the ones from the different islands, that we're
Right.
picking up,
All right.
bringing them back home. Well, when we got to San Francisco, they all the troops would get on one side of the ship, and we listed. So the captain says, "Get back. We can't we can't get in there and dock until you level the ship up." So it took a while to do all that now.
So everybody was excited to see the land and knowing they're getting off. So everybody was on one side of the ship, right?
And a lot of the families were there waving and hollering, and they were excited too.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure you were
Yeah.
excited. So how long did it take you to get back home after you got there? To tell me about that trip when you saw your family again and all that.
All right. The last trip we had on the ship was we were in Seattle, Washington. We sailed all the way from Seattle, Washington, through the Panama Canal, all the way up into the Atlantic Ocean, in between Cuba, and came to Norfolk, Virginia. That was the last trip.
So that's where you got off the ship in Norfolk.
We were discharged from there.
Wow.
Then, then they put us on a train to Jacksonville, and then Jacksonville they put us on a bus to go to Vero Beach,
Wow.
and met mother and dad at the Vero Beach bus station.
I'm sure most of them are gone now, but did you stay in touch with some of the people you in service with through the years, or did you lose touch with them? Or tell me about that.
Oh well, we did because we had a lot to talk about. It took a while for everything to settle down, but and about a year to
Right.
do this and that and the other. We did go. Some of them came down to Florida to visit me, and they all wanted to come to Florida, especially
Yeah.
from the north.
Yeah.
And so that's where it was.
I got to ask you, how did you meet your wife? Where'd you meet her? How'd you get to Reynolds? Tell me
All
about. I
right,
know she's from Reynolds, but tell me about Miss Sister and how all that came about.
all right. A friend of mine had an airplane, and he was at the University of Florida with me, from Vero Beach. His family was well in good shape. They come out of Georgia, bought a bunch of land out there in Vero Beach that time. And he had an airplane. He called me one day. He said, "Walter," he said, "you want to ride a little bit?" I said, "Yeah, let's do." So we got on the airplane and we go right out to the beach. He said, "I'm gonna drive you. I'm gonna fly level of next to the water line, and you look and see what you see." So I did, and I said, "Yeah, I saw two girls up there on the beach up there at Vero Beach." He said, "Well, good. Well, we'll go land the plane and come out and then meet them." We got in the truck, come out there, introduced ourselves, and it was Margaret Woods and Liz Hennon.
About that.
So Liz and I started dating. She was teaching school with him. Both Margaret and Liz were teaching school down there.
That's what I was going to ask. How did they end up? They were lifelong friends. I know. How in the world they end up from Vero Beach?
They were teaching school in Thomaston, and decided that they had opening in Vero Beach, Florida, so that's the reason they went down there.
And Margaret's story, that's another one that she married to Bob, the Burke, the shipbuilder. I know knew all
Oh
them
yeah,
well. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
sure did.
they did well for sure. So that's where you met her, and just so how did you did y'all start dating? Was it love at first sight, or when did you come to Reynolds? She obviously
Uh,
brought you back home with her, right?
no, I was dating her down there in Vero Beach, and got to know her pretty well. And then she was up here for summertime, so I came on up here and met Ben and Lila Hennon at their house. They're in Reynolds, and from then on, we just anyway. That's what it was all about.
So how'd you get in farming? So you married her. Did you stay here after you got married? You just moved here?
Well, I was in citrus in Vero Beach. Mother and Dad had a citrus acres down there,
Okay.
so we were had a house on one of the groves down there. So we lived down there for about a year or 2 years, and come on in. And she was teaching school down there, and so Ben had the farm up here, and he came down there. He and Lila came down there, and he asked me. He said, "Would you like to come up to Georgia and farm, run the farm for me?" I said, "Well, that's a big deal." Wait a minute, hang on, just thank you. Good to see you here. And so I did, and moved up here and lived in a house out there, the farm out there, and
And
farmed it for 75 years.
that's what I was going to ask you. How long do you? I mean, I've obviously known you all my life, and I know
Yeah,
you a hard working man. And I remember the conversation. I knew you were from Vero Beach because I remember the conversations at Red Owens Place or Dealer Burger and all that kind of stuff where you would
oh yeah,
come
yep, yep.
in. You had some great friends, cronies in the farming business up here too. That
We sure did. We sure did.
I think about some of those folks, Sydney and Buddy Harp, and line goes on to
Yep.
talk about some of those relationships that you built up here as you were farming.
Well, William Parker was right next to me out there at the farm. He owned the land out there, so he was farming. He lived right there up on 128, and like you say, we farming was real close. We talked a lot about this crop and that crop. What we're going to get rain. The rain was so important back in those days.
Oh
It's
my
still
goodness!
important, and we had to. Well, that was it.
What did you grow? What were you farming?
Well, being in citrus, I had to plant peaches.
Right. I'm
So
sure.
got in the peach business, and of course Walter Wainwright was still around, was here then. Pretty good operator. So he kept talking me into it. So I said, okay, I'm going to do it. So it came time to pack peaches. We packed them up there at Walter Wainwright's up there at Crow. Well, it wasn't Crow, it was
Pebble,
well,
Pebble.
Pebble. Yeah, that's where
Yeah.
it was. Yeah,
Right.
yeah, and that's where it was. And we kept on from that, and eventually grew into a pretty good size operation.
Yeah. You made a great living. You made a lot of friends up here. Your whole life has been up here now for whatever it is, 75 years or whatever it is, you've been here. It's
That's right.
absolutely amazing. Friends you made here. We call you folks the greatest generation, and there's a reason you are that. And reality, that's not many of you left. When I was growing up, just about everybody I knew was a member of the greatest generation. But now there's not many of you left. That is for
No,
sure. That is for sure. One of the things that I just curious, you've watched this nation move from no electricity, listen to radio, to some sort of TV where you could get one or two channels, to satellite TV, you can watch anything. to
Right.
cable to all that to dial up internet to high speed internet. Now we're into artificial intelligence. What are your thoughts on the technology advances you've seen in your life?
Well, I'm real proud of you for touching on AI.
Isn't that crazy?
It is crazy, but that's something else. I was going to tell Ed Swearing, I want him to teach you to learn how to run AI now before he gets too old.
If anybody can do it, he was a technology whiz. That is for sure.
Yeah,
Coming up, he could build anything. He was building weather stations when he was a kid, right?
yeah, he was.
So that's what I've noticed. I mean, you're on Facebook. You kind of keep up with what's going on Facebook, don't you?
I do. I sure
And
do.
I wonder how many 99-year-olds are on Facebook. I love it. But
Uh,
it's an easy way to keep up with what's going on. There's a bunch of mess on there, but you can also keep up with what's going on with people. I'm sure it helps keep your mind active and keep it
it
engaged
does.
with people, right?
It does. It's a tremendous asset. It sure is.
Well, you've seen a lot of changes in your life. I know that. Now, I got to ask you, I know you're proud of your kids. I grew up with Karen and Mark, and I
Yeah.
know you're proud of them. Just talk about your kids and the grandkids a minute. I know they're going to listen to this one day after you and I both are dead and gone, probably. They'll listen to it before that, but they'll listen to it later. Just talk about them and your pride in your kids and grandkids.
All right. Uh, Mark and Susan, his wife, she was a judge in Atlanta judge,
Right?
and they're retired now. They're living in St. Simon's Island now. And Mark is, like I said, he's retired. Got one son and one daughter, Bradley and Leslie. Leslie's living in Atlanta, and she graduated from Georgia. And Bradley graduated he first went to Alabama, then he went to Georgia Law School and passed the bar. But he didn't want to be a lawyer. He wanted to do other things. So he got that great. He'd been in the restaurant business
I'm
now.
sorry. He got in what kind of business?
Restaurants.
Restaurant?
Yeah, he
Oh,
was.
wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah. But now he belonged to a church in Atlanta, a big, pretty good sized church. And they told him that they wanted him, this church in Atlanta sponsored a church in Paris, France. They wanted he and the family, he got three boys. They went over there last, they've been over there about 3 months now. And he's working with the preacher over there and establishing another church
Is that right?
in Paris.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. I had no idea that. I know he's got some good looking kids. Mark and Susan do, that's for sure. And Mark has obviously been very successful. We stay in kind of in touch with, I stay in touch with Mark and Karen over the years, but I know they've done very well. I know you're proud of them.
I am very much, very, very proud of it. Sure am.
Yeah. And also Karen, talk about Karen. Karen retired and moved back home. I know you're glad to have her close by.
Yes, she is. She lives out here, Potterville, on the lake. Built a house out there and enjoying life.
Yeah. She's earned it.
Retired.
She was a coach too, wasn't she? Did she coach or did I know she taught? And
Yeah, she coached. Yep, she did.
she's active in the Trinity Church down there too. I know.
Yeah, she's on the board there.
Yeah. So she got very involved, moved back to Reynolds. So I'm actually between Mark and Karen. They were 2 grades apart, and I was in the grade between them. But Mark and I think I'm like 4 months older than him. We're very close, the same age. But
Uh huh.
we've kept up. We've got a lot of great memories with them, and we got a lot of common friends. That's for sure around here. So let me ask you this: what do you think younger people? And there some of them may listen to this, some of them may, but there are a lot of younger people that that don't understand the past. What do you think younger people today misunderstand about the past that you lived through? Just what are your thoughts on that?
I think there's too much activity going on that they don't even think about the past,
Right.
really and truly. But some of them would probably, but generally speaking, I don't believe they do.
Yeah, you wonder what they're being educated about,
That's
generally
right.
about things that happened in the past. And I mean, because I mean, I don't care who you are. Well, whoever we are today started some way back, and to understand who we are, you got to understand the past, right? And
Exactly, you do exactly.
the voices like you from the greatest generation need to be heard, because you lived through it. You're not talking about something you read in a book somewhere. You lived through it. We can read about the war, and we can read about the horror of the war and the kids going off to not knowing where they'd come back home, and the parents not knowing where they'd come back home. And obviously, some of them did not come back home, but and a lot of them did not come back home. We can read about it, but to live through that is a whole different world, especially during that time of the a world war where our definitely our future was on the line, right?
Exactly, you're right.
Yeah.
You're so right.
Yeah.
You sure are.
So if you could give one piece of advice to people that are listening to this is from a 99-year-old man that's been around a long time. What would your advice be to people about living life?
My advice would be just get you a doctor, stay with that doctor, listen to him, but go to him and listen to him and do what he says do. Keep your health in 100%.
Right.
That's number one.
Wow.
If you don't have your health, you're not going to be able to go anywhere else,
Isn't that the truth?
not church or anything else, you know.
That's true. That's so you obviously did that all your life, right? You took
I
care of
have.
yourself.
I did. I am. Still do it. I sure do.
Yeah. Well, you're sitting here talking to me. I know you still get around. You're not an invalid, I guarantee you. Are you still driving, Mr. Walter?
Yes, I'm driving.
Yep, still driving.
I
Yep.
am. I have a little trouble walking right now because of this little trouble I'm having.
But you can drive. You're in shape to drive. You can certainly do it. You can do it. No question about that. Well, when it's all said and done, and like I said earlier, that's going to be people listening to this, and we get this stuff out here on this podcast. It's here, hopefully for forever, for a long time. So people be listening to this after you and I both are dead and gone. What do you want people to remember about you? What do you want your grandkids or even your great grandkids that are not born yet, and people in general? What do you want them to remember about Walter Forsling?
That's a good question. Just be honest about everything. Be truthful and love the Lord. Go to church and be a Christian
Right.
and love the Lord. Love Jesus Christ.
Yeah, absolutely. The one thing that I've thought about you since I was a kid, and I know this was my impression of you. You were always a kind man, even to little kids, even to people much younger than you. You always took the time when I would, even after I left Taylor County, I'd come back. You all stopped. You obviously kept up with me. I know you kept up with others, but you would ask questions. You treated people with great respect, and I know I saw that, and I know everybody knows you saw that. So somewhere along the line, you had a lesson. Maybe it came from your parents. Don't know where you got it, but you've been a very kind man to a lot of people. I know that.
Well, thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, well, you have.
I appreciate your invitation
Yeah, well,
for an interview.
been a pleasure talking to you. You're an incredible human being, and I've thought that all my life. I didn't think about it when I thought about having you on this podcast. I've known it all my life. You're an incredible human being. You raised incredible kids. You worked your rear end off all your life. You were a great contributor to that community, not only in Taylor County but in Macon County out there. You had a lot of great friends. You had a great run. I know that, and you influenced a lot of people. So I thank you for that.
Well, thank you very much, Bruce.
Okay.
That's very nice of you.
All right. Well, you take care. Thank you, Mr. Walter. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Appreciate it, Bruce.
All right. Bye bye.
Viewing life from a hearse, it could be worse. Laugh think and cry with the country undertaker.